All right, hopefully I'll be able to see the chat okay. Let's see. What's up, everyone? How's it going? So today, whether one of you is watching or no one's watching, I'm going to post this video regardless. That's why. So I'm just choosing to make it this way. But going live right now, and what I want to talk about today is the Ostomy Patient Bill of Rights. Some of you are familiar with the UOAA. Some of you are not. That is the United Ostomy Associations of America. It's the largest ostomy organization in the United States. It's for advocacy, it's for information, education, support groups, things like that. Anyway, on their website, there are a whole bunch of different resources for education, finding help, finding support, finding events to go to, ways to donate and do things to help other ostomates and people with different GI conditions and things like that. And one of the cool things on their website is that if you just go to it, and that's ostomy.org, and you're looking for the UOAA, OSTOMY.org. That's one thing about going live, and I don't have the full setup where I'm doing multiple cameras and showing you my computer screen and stuff. And so that's one of the challenges of going live in the simplest way. Instead of putting a video together and editing it and stuff, I can't put things up on the screen for you to look at. But I'll get better at that later. But what I wanted to show you, well, more read to you, but you can go on and follow along. I will link this in the description after this video is done. But we're going to go through the Ostomy and Continent Diversion Patient Bill of Rights. And if you go to ostomy.org and you go to at the top of the screen and you look for ostomy information, and then you go over, and then that creates a drop down, and you look over, and the first little section is ostomy information, and you go towards the bottom of that, and it will say Bill of Rights. So if you click on that, it takes you to the page, and it's got a little megaphone that says speak up about your ostomy care, and it says Ostomy and Continent Diversion Patient Bill of Rights. Now, before I get into reading everything, I just want to throw in a quick little plug, remind everyone out there that I'm trying to help out as much as I can, but I can only do so much. So this is kind of brought to you by all the different ways I work for myself. I have music out there. If you just search up Nate Hadlock on all the different streaming platforms, I've got just some instrumental music, some piano music, and this year I will have 1 or 2 more albums out. And then I do a bunch of photography and stuff, so my photography website is usually in the description of my videos. And then I make 3D wall art and stuff like that. So there are a few different ways that I try to support myself outside of some of the regular work I do every day. So if you want to check out any of that, go right ahead. But with that being said, let's get into the Ostomy Bill of Rights. So at the top of the screen, it says, "You matter. Know what to expect for quality care. As the lead organization advocating for the ostomy and continent diversion patient communities, the United Ostomy Associations of America initiated a long-term project, the National Quality Ostomy Care Campaign, to improve the delivery of care for the estimated 1 million people who have experienced these surgeries." And I believe they're talking about the US. The Ostomy and Continent Diversion Patient Bill of Rights is a patient-driven grassroots movement and a tool developed for the campaign. The goal is to inform these patient communities that all elements of quality care should be available to them and drive systemic change across healthcare settings. It aims to educate patients and their advocates about their rights before, during, and after having ostomy or continent diversion surgery. Then it has 6 little boxes, And it says that the Patient Bill of Rights promotes the following 6 essential principles. 1, people who live with an ostomy, temporary or permanent, or continent diversion can be empowered to self-advocate for their own care to improve outcomes. And I'll just say this. I think there are a lot of different reasons I'm doing this video. Excuse me. But one of the main ones is self-advocacy, or advocacy from someone who cares for you. Sorry, I was getting a comment on another YouTube video, but I thought it was a comment on this chat. So hopefully I can see the chat. It's being kind of funny on my phone here. Anyway, but my parents advocating once for me when I came out of one of my last surgeries actually saved my life. There was a malpractice issue. I'm not going to get into that today. Excuse me. But if my parents had not kept bugging the doctors and the nurses, I would have died. Either in the hospital or shortly after. There was definitely something wrong. So I'm excited to get into the Bill of Rights today and talk about all the different things. You've got to know what kind of things that you are, not eligible. What's the word I'm thinking of? Because sometimes it can be a bad word. Entitled to when you're receiving care. These days we use the word entitled as a bad word a lot, but it's in this case it's a very important and good word. You have to know the type of care that you are entitled to, the things that you deserve as a patient going through the things that we go through. So second thing is, for healthcare professionals, quality ostomy care is driven by such evidence-based practices as defined in these rights. 3, patients undergoing ostomy continent diversion surgery have the right to person-centered, high-quality care in all healthcare settings to achieve a desirable quality of life and can expect to receive the same dignity and attention as people with other medical conditions. 4, to highlight a holistic practice model, counseling, care, and educational instruction are ideally provided by a certified healthcare professional who specializes in ostomy care. Delivery of care includes access to outpatient ostomy clinics. 5, the importance of patients being involved in all phases of the surgical experience except in emergent situations, and that both healthcare professionals and patients recognize the importance of a strong decision-making relationship with each other. Then the last key, before we actually get into it, that healthcare facilities will support these rights to deliver high-quality ostomy patient-centered care to improve patient outcomes and patient satisfaction. So those are kind of the main goals and the outlines of it. Excuse me. Don't know why I've got a frog in my throat, but we'll get through it. Now, when you scroll down, there are a few different things you can click on. It's pretty cool. First, there's just the Patient Bill of Rights, and there's a whole sheet that you can download and print off. They also have a wallet-sized version that you can print off and keep with you. And then there's a pediatric version. They also have on YouTube a little animated series that you can click on, and it's got some animated YouTube videos, so that's pretty cool. There's also not exactly a Bill of Rights, but there is also things about employment-based discrimination, and we can get into that after we go through the Bill of Rights. But anyway, I just wanted to make a video about this because I think it's really important, and a lot of people don't know that the UOAA offers this. So let's get right into it. The Ostomy and Continent Diversion Patient Bill of Rights. One section. There's one section that contains most of the information, but there are kind of 4 main sections: preoperative care, operative care, and postoperative care, and then things to know just during the lifespan of an ostomy patient. So, preoperative care, well, I should say that it's in the context of like telling you what kind of care you should receive. So, You are entitled to preoperative care that includes 7 points. Here we go. Preoperative stoma site marked, a preoperative stoma site marked by a certified healthcare professional following the standards of care established by the Wound, Ostomy, and Continence Nurses Society with the American Society of Colon and Rectal Surgeons and the American Urological Association. Aside from an emergency surgery, I do have a couple friends who went into the hospital not knowing they were going to get an ostomy. And then they just woke up and they had a stoma and a bag on their stomach. So it was life-saving for them, but they didn't know they were going to get it. Kind of crazy. But in all other cases, yeah, you definitely should be able to talk to the physician and discuss where you want your stoma in terms of comfort and the best place that they can make it happen, usually whether they're doing an ileostomy or a colostomy or urostomy. So you're entitled to kind of pick that and help each other figure out the best thing for you moving forward. I was able to do that. I think I had 2 different spots I was thinking of pointed out and marked at the same time. I think I had 2 different spots marked, but one was like, this is where I really want it, and they were able to do it there. And I've been very happy with where that was placed. So, next in preoperative care, it includes an explanation of the surgical procedure and the rationale for surgery. You should be having all of this discussed with you. You are entitled to education provided on living with an ostomy or a continent diversion and self-care post-discharge. These are just very common things that you deserve and that should be given to you. Information about the impact of surgery on daily activities, including adapting physically and emotionally, and lifestyle changes such as clothing choices, exercise, diet, and sexuality. You're entitled to the opportunity to, I should say you have the right to, because we're talking about the Bill of Rights. You have the right to the opportunity to talk with someone who has been through ostomy or continent diversion surgery, the opportunity to discuss the emotional impact of surgery, and counseling, the right to counseling, care, and educational instruction in a language and at a level of understanding suitable for the patient. Communication will be culturally sensitive. And you notice the language right there. Communication will be culturally sensitive and delivered in a dignified manner. These are all very, very important things that you have a right to before your surgery. And that's why they give a wallet-sized version of this, so that you can kind of have it, or that your caregiver, your family, your friends, whoever's with you during the surgery process, going into the hospital with you, so that you guys know what to expect and what you can ask for if it's not happening for you. Very, very important. Fortunately, all of those points were met in my case, but I know many people where those kinds of things, where that stuff didn't happen. They were not cared for like this. Things were not presented to them like this. They were not given all of this information and education properly. So if you are new to getting an ostomy, or if you are about to get one, know that you can download this and review all the things that should be happening to make sure that you get the best care possible. So now there are just a couple points in the next section for operative care. 1, you have a right to a stoma that can be fit with a reliable pouching system. You deserve for them to do their absolute best to make a good stoma for you. You're going to have to live with that sometimes temporarily, but for me, it's absolutely for the rest of my life. And I'm very grateful that I had a surgeon who was very caring and made sure that I had a good, manageable stoma that I could live with for the rest of my life. And the second point in operative care, just a stoma that's well positioned for the patient's unique body shape and medical condition. So not a whole lot you can do like during the surgery you're being operated on, but you definitely deserve that type of care being performed while you're under. Now, the next section is post-operative care. Excuse me. My brother got this big old mug for me for Christmas. The one I used to carry around all day only was like this big, and then he got me this. It's like 50 ounces of water. Oh my gosh, these things are out of control, but it is awesome to stay hydrated, and it makes it a little bit easier, right? So, next section, post-operative care for the patient. That includes individual instruction in ostomy care, including patient return demonstration of, which means like have the patient show the nurse or the physician that they know what they're doing. Patient return demonstration of emptying and changing pouch. Ways to troubleshoot difficulties with basic skin and stoma issues, including skin irritation, stoma blockage, hernia, and a prolapse. And I need to go back to that first point quick before I forget what I was going to say about it. First of all, I do not do well on on hospital grade medications. If it's more than a Tylenol or an ibuprofen, which I don't even do ibuprofen because that really messes with my gut, that stuff messes me up. So if I take anything more than a Tylenol, I do not do well. I'm very, very sensitive to it. So anyway, after surgery, I was so out of it for so long, like even post anesthesia and everything, just being on. What's up? What's up, Pamela? I'm glad you're here. Even being on, like, I'm out of anesthesia, just on the pain meds to manage everything, you know, the little clicker post-op. And the first time that the WOC nurse, the stoma nurse, ostomy nurse, whatever you like to call them, the first time that she came in to start educating me and helping me understand and teaching me like what's going on with my stoma, teaching me about my bag and everything, post-op, I had no idea what was going on. And while she was there, my mom was like apologizing to her. Listen, he's not getting any of this. And granted, like I was a grown adult. I was 22, 23 years old. And I was just laying there completely out of it. The stoma nurse was trying to explain all this stuff to me. And I had no idea what she was talking about. The point of that part is the next part of the story. She came back in a couple days later. I was managing pain a little bit better, and I was not having to take as much pain meds and everything. And she came in to explain everything again, and I was completely coherent. And she walked in and started like demonstrating and explaining things, and she was very surprised at how I was communicating with her and how well everything was going and the communication between the two of us. My mom was like, "Yeah, let me introduce you to my son. You did not meet him the other day when you were trying to explain this stuff. That he was not here." So anyway, that part where it says the patient like demonstrating back to the nurse that they know what they're doing a little bit is very important. You got to make sure that you are okay to leave the hospital. A lot of people don't have support once they leave the hospital. A lot of people don't have good, super helpful caregivers and stuff like that. And it's very important that on the professional side, that they make sure that you know what you're doing. And it's very important on your side, the patient side, our side, that we're proactive and we're like, wait, please don't go to the next patient yet. What was that last part? Can I do this again? Can you show me that again? Can you explain that to me again? We have to make sure, and this is what the Bill of Rights is for. Like, you have a right to be like, hey, I don't get it. Help me with my stoma. Help me with my bag. Now, you don't have to be a jerk or be annoying if you don't absolutely have to be. But just, you got to take care of yourself. You got to advocate for yourself. You have to make sure that you can go home okay and that you know what you're doing. Anyway, let's move to the next point. Post-op care. You also have the right to dietary guidelines and strategies to prevent dehydration, given both verbally and in a written format. Information on the variety of product choices available from manufacturers, and hopefully you're getting a lot of samples. Hopefully you're getting either take-home boxes from different companies. I'm pretty sure that every, like the main three in America, Hollister, Convatec, Coloplast, I am pretty sure that, I mean, yeah, all three of them can give a home care kit. I don't know how exactly that all works. I should do a, there are a few YouTubers on here who are ostomy nurses as well, and we should do like a collab video where we talk about the nurses' side and everything. But yeah, you should be getting samples to go home with and enough products to last you for a good little bit so that you're not having to worry about getting new products while you're figuring things out and managing pain. You have a right to, let's see, where did I leave off? Yes, information on the variety of product choices, information about the supply ordering process. That was a big one for me. They were like, okay, this is where you are living right now. And they actually helped me find the nearest supplier to me because these manufacturing companies, they don't supply the ostomy supplies to the patients. I wish they would, but they don't. So we have to go through all these different product distributors, and hopefully your ostomy nurse or your physician, well, yeah. I don't know of a physician that's helped with that before. I haven't heard of one, but maybe there's a really awesome one out there that does. But hopefully the WOC nurse will help you find the best distributor for like where you're living or whatever for that time being, and help you, teach you, like, you go to them, you'll have a prescription for this and you'll be able to make an order. Hopefully they'll help you out with that because you're definitely entitled to it. You deserve it. You need to know how to order your products within, a few weeks. And if things are kind of crazy down there, within a week of being out of the hospital, you may need to order a bunch of stuff. Who knows? So I just think that's a great point and something that you need to remember, that you're allowed to have. People, the nurses they're there to help you physically manage it and also to teach you about it and to get you set up with post-care. Let's see, resources for obtaining specific, okay, resources, you have a right to care that includes resources for obtaining supplies specific to patient circumstances, talking about like whether you're uninsured or underinsured, stuff like that. Information about manufacturers, post-discharge support programs. Gosh, I can't think of the name. Does Coloplast have one? I can't think of the name of theirs, but I know that Hollister has Secure Start and Convatec has their Me Plus program. So hopefully these the nurses are helping you understand and letting you know that the companies are there to help you out after you get out of the hospital and stuff, with products, with questions about skin and your stoma, everything. Hopefully they're giving you that information in the hospital. All right, information about organizations that, sorry, I thought I skipped one. Information about organizations that support and advocate for patients living with an ostomy or continent diversion. such as the United Ostomy Associations of America and their affiliated support groups. And if you don't already know that, on the UOA's website as well, they have a search for support groups, and you can type in your area code or your zip code, sorry, and it'll help you find the closest UOAA supported ostomy support group close to you. I think I just said that in a redundant way, but I said it, so we're good. um, yeah, that was, and honestly, that was something that was not talked about with me much. I mean, I don't remember a ton about being in the hospital because, one, I didn't do well with medications, the pain medications, and I also did not do well because there was a malpractice issue. So they might have talked to me about support groups and things like that and introducing me to the UOAA back then. This was 2010 and 2011, but I don't think they did because I didn't go to any support groups. I didn't do any of that stuff till like 2017. I went a long time on my own dealing with ostomy life. And look, here I am today. I'm just fine. But things got a lot better once I started meeting other ostomy friends and support groups and things like that. So anyway, you're entitled to get that information from them. And then the last point in postoperative care is just that you should get care that includes providing the most current educational materials based on your ostomy type. You should get a whole, like, I mean, I think I got DVDs with videos on them and stuff. I don't know how that works today. I don't know if they send you to different YouTube channels or if they just, I don't know what they give you these days. And it's definitely different in every hospital, but you should know everything, or at least have the information give it to you in a packet with links, video links, with website links, so that you know exactly what a colostomy, what an ileostomy, what a urostomy are when you get out of that surgery. And when you're going home, you should have plenty of study materials to get this all figured out and to keep teaching yourself and understanding what's going on with your body now. So those are the three main sections: preoperative care, operative care, and postoperative care. And then this last little section just says, during the lifespan of the ostomy and continent diversion, access to ongoing care and support that includes healthcare professionals with knowledge specific to the care of an ostomy continent diversion in all healthcare settings, including telemedicine. And that is, I mean, it's crucial, and take that from someone who does not do a very good job of staying in touch with my medical team or putting together a medical team. In fact, I moved to where I am now and did not set up a new medical team. I was like, this was about 10 years ago. And I was like, yeah, I've got my ostomy figured out. And so I lived here for years without having like I mean, I had a primary family doctor, but I did not know the closest trusted colorectal surgeon. I did not have a GI that I would go to. So you have a right to that, but you also got to be proactive and make it happen. I wish that I had, because things can change in an instant. Anyway, I'm going on these tangents, but that's what live videos are for, so that I could just talk about whatever. And hopefully if you're watching this after the live, you're able to kind of skip around a little bit. And if you want to move past some of my rambling. But for those of you who are here, I'm super happy that you're here. I'm not a huge fan of how YouTube's live stuff works. Yeah, not a lot of controls, and if they're, anyway, that's a conversation for another day. It works a lot better on other apps, so it is what it is. And maybe it'll work better once I get a different camera and actually do the live through the computer and everything. But for now, just going through my phone, and it is what it is. Next, for things that you can expect through the lifespan of having your ostomy, reevaluation of ostomy management and supplies following changes in medical condition, aging, and social economic status. Definitely stay in touch with your medical team, stay in touch with nurses and things like that, and support groups and friends. And I think that's one of the coolest parts about the UOAA conference. Unfortunately, it's every other year, but one of the best parts about that conference is that they bring in a whole bunch of nurses and they'll give you a free, you just walk in, it's a free clinic to have your stoma checked, to have everything looked at by a WOCN, by a WOC nurse. That's really important to do from time to time to make sure that, yeah, your skin is good, or yeah, you kind of have an issue right now. So, next one is ongoing emotional and social support. The biggest part of my ostomy life on the negative side has been the mental part. It can be a struggle sometimes, obviously. And on the positive side, it's been the social support. 100% my life as an ostomate is 10 times better because I've gotten to know other people who have ostomies in real life. Excuse me. Yeah, it's important to talk to people online, and it's really helpful, but in-person connections, and you need it. You really need it. Next, specific and individualized ostomy supplies chosen in consultation with a healthcare professional to achieve and maintain a reliable fitting pouching system. With this, there are two things. And I like the way they said this because, yes, as an ostomate, it's on you to be experimenting and to be giving every product a trial. All of these different companies will send you a free sample, at least like one little thing of deodorizing lubricant or a couple wipes or 2 to 3 bags to try out from this certain like line of whatever ostomy products they have out at the moment, or whatever new products they're introducing, things like that. Or if you want to try something that they an older product that a company has, like, hey, I've seen that work well for people, can I try that? They'll send it to you and you can be trying things. What I like about what they said here is in consultation with a healthcare professional. If you have access to a really great wound and ostomy care nurse, wound ostomy continence nurse, sorry, I feel like I've heard that different ways. If any of you watch the TV show Psych, and Sean's always saying, I've heard it both ways. If you have access to a really good one, absolutely go in and try different things with that nurse. They can show you different methods, different techniques. Because one thing that happens online is that people like me, and I mean, I try to not be guilty of this, but people who like to make social media content about ostomy life, sometimes there are videos made where people are a little confident in what they're teaching, the tips they're giving and the advice they're giving, and they make it seem like that's the best thing that you can do. They make it seem like if you don't do it this way, you're not doing it right. Or they make it seem like the way that they're doing it just is the most helpful way, when, I mean, in ostomy life, that's just not true. Every single person. I have a brother who's who's close to my age, and I promise you that if he needed an ostomy, we would probably use slightly different products. Every single person needs different products, every single person needs specific supplies, accessories, a process specific to their body type, specific to the care that they need. So being able to, so one, yes, you need to be proactive and try out the products from all the different companies and see what works best for you. But you also, if you have access to a great medical team, a great nurse who's willing to help you figure that out and give you advice that's not just a video on the internet, but advice of someone who is actually there with you, seeing how the products work with your stoma and your belly, yeah, do it. Oh, and man, there are some really, really, some really incredible ostomy nurses out there. The last time I spoke to one in person, in fact, I don't think there's a time where I do speak to one in person, whether it's at a conference or something I'm working at or a project or whatever, or we just happen to cross paths somehow. I don't think there's a time where I do speak with an ostomy nurse in person where I don't start to get emotional. They do such amazing work. And I'm so grateful that they get certified in these things and that they take it seriously and work as hard as they do to make sure that we're taken care of. Ostomy nurses are on another level. I mean, they are dealing with our crap all day long. They're dealing with intestines and poop all day long and trying to figure out different ostomy supplies, trying to figure out what works well for each person. And I just, man, owe a lot to them. So huge shout out to ostomy nurses everywhere. Let's move on with the patient bill of rights here. I mean, that's basically it. At the bottom of it, it just says counseling, care, and educational instruction are ideally provided by a certified healthcare professional that specializes in ostomy care. And then a little disclaimer, these components of ostomy care may be limited or compromised due to instances when surgery is emergent, which we talked about at the very beginning. Like, if you're not expecting to get an ostomy, man, that's a hard situation physically, emotionally. I can only imagine what some of my friends have had to go through who have had an emergency stoma created. But, you know, some of these things obviously can't apply if you don't know that you're getting a stoma. If you go into the hospital and like, I can't even imagine. You just wake up and you have a stoma and you've got an ostomy bag stuck to you. Anyway, so that is the Ostomy and Continent Diversion Patient Bill of Rights. Again, you can go to ostomy.org, the UOA's website, and you can download this for yourself. I wanted to make a live video so that I could just speak freely and not have to worry about editing and stuff. And I could have, you know, like chopped this up and put it on screen and things like that. But for now, I just wanted to talk about it because nobody else is talking about this. No one else shares about it. So I'll be sharing this video on my other social media platforms and stuff like that. Excuse me. But I want to show you one other thing. And like I said, you can also download a pediatric version. There are a few little differences in there. And as someone who needed an ostomy as a baby, that means a lot. A lot of people, they see the UOAA online and they just think of the conference that's held every other year. But there is so much information on their website. So I hope you go to, even if you're in another country, I hope that you go to the UOA's website. They have tons and tons of information. But one other thing I just wanted to read through, it's much shorter, but that is just if you're dealing with employment-based discrimination. They've got a little uh, infographic, a little pamphlet type thing you can download. But listen, you should be able to work at your job, wherever and whatever it is. And you need to know as a patient and your employer that, well, your employers should know if you so desire them to, but you should know as a patient that, what was I going to say? Oh, that your place of employment, your employer needs to be accommodating to you. Whether it's your HR representative, your manager, your boss, someone at your workplace, they need to be accountable to you, or accountable, accommodating to you. Especially because ostomies technically are disability. So anyway, I just want to read through this really quick. And this is called it's just a little thing that you can read through on their website, but it says employment-based discrimination. And it says, while many persons who have had ostomy or continent diversion surgery may not consider themselves to be disabled, they are protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 against employment-based discrimination in the workplace. When discrimination occurs, there are several steps that can be taken whether an employee discriminates against or treats someone differently because of an ostomy or continent diversion surgery or the ongoing needs of a person who has had these procedures. And so, I mean, I know the first thing that comes to mind is like bullying and stuff like that because you have an ostomy, and being treated unfairly in the workplace because you have an ostomy or a continent diversion. But where my mind goes, because I've had this for this will be my 16th year with an ostomy. In a row. There were the 2 years when I was born. But this will be my 16th year in a row with an ostomy. I've worked at a lot of places. And so the first things that come to mind when I think of workplace discrimination based on these things is just like not being able to use the bathroom when you want to go to the bathroom, not being able to bring the supplies you need into work, stuff like that. You need to be able to handle your business when you need to handle your business, and you need to be able to confidently work at that place, do that job, and manage your ostomy without having to feel like you'll be penalized for it, without having to feel like you're a burden to the company or whatever. So just a couple things on this. It says, are you having trouble at your workplace? Do you need to change accommodation at your workplace? Have you been treated differently because of your ostomy? Are you prevented from going to a public place because of a barrier? These are some advocacy steps that you can follow. 1, educate. And trust me, I know this can be an awkward conversation. I know it can be difficult, but, oh, sorry, that's my old chair. It's peeling. You should see the seat. This thing is peeling all over the place. I have to vacuum all the time. I need a new chair. Anyway, but no, that wasn't my stoma. My chair was just squeaking. And I know this can be a difficult and awkward conversation sometimes, but educate. You can tell your boss or your human resources department that you're being treated differently because you have an ostomy. Your employer must stop discrimination once they know about it. And I would say, like right now I work for myself, but in the jobs that I've had where I worked for another person, another company, sometimes I've brought up my ostomy in the interview process. Like when I can tell that I get the job, I bring it up and I say, as long as I can go to the bathroom whenever I want, I'm fine, no worries. But other times I haven't told them about it right at the beginning because they just didn't need to know. It was that type of job. I mean, use your best judgment. But when the time comes, when you need to talk to them, it's important to tell your boss, like, listen, this is what I live with. These are the things I need to do to manage it. And these are the types of steps that I need to take while I'm here at work to manage this properly. Or, hey, I'm being treated differently, I'm being treated unfairly, or I'm actually being bullied because of this. They have to take care of it. Or else they are in violation of some disability stuff. And we do not want that. And they definitely don't want that. I'll tell you that right now. Oh. The next point, it just says to negotiate. Ask human resources or your supervisor for a change to your work environment so that you can do your job with the same conditions as your colleagues, close by. So like being close by a bathroom, or getting extra break times or longer break times, or just break times that aren't mandated super strictly, just break times when you need them. And just, you should be able to create a work environment for yourself at whatever job you're at that allows you to do the job. I remember one of my worst experiences, and I'm actually going to make a regular video, not a live video about this, and not a short. I know I've been posting a lot of shorts lately. It's tougher to get full videos out, but I apologize. I'm trying to get more regular videos out other than just shorts. But I am going to make a video about all the different jobs I've had and what it's like to work with an ostomy. And I'm just saying that to say that with the section I just read, one of the most annoying jobs I had with an ostomy was working for an insurance company. I don't know if it's wrong to name them or what, but they were just, it was a seasonal job where I would process insurance applications, medical health insurance. And it was so strict. They micromanaged to the second. You had to, like, you would be working on the computer, processing applications, and then the second that you stop one application and move to the next, you have to log it. And you have to say, okay, stopping this one, starting this one. And then if you go to the bathroom, you have to hurry and type in, okay, going to the bathroom. I'm back from the bathroom, and you only get a few seconds to do this, a few seconds to do that, a few minutes to do this. Lunch is obviously very strict. But it was kind of tough to work there with an ostomy. And I didn't understand any of this at the time. I was like a year or two into my ostomy life. There was nothing online about all this in terms of social media and stuff. So, and I didn't know how much information the UOAA had back then. I wasn't familiar with any of it, and I didn't understand the Disabilities Act or disability rights, any of that stuff. So I just let it be. And it was pretty miserable because I was like, I only get to go to the bathroom when you tell me, and I only get a few minutes. And anyway, listen, it's not supposed to be like that if you have an ostomy. They should be able to accommodate you and what you need to do. And you have a right to negotiate, demand, ask for all of that to happen for you. And then the last part is, if it gets to a serious level, just get legal help. If the above steps have not resulted in resolution, you may consider obtaining legal assistance or filing for a formal complaint using the resources below. And then it lists the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the Disability Legal Rights Center, the Disability Rights Bar Association, and then it just says, or any local attorney who helps with disability law. And then it has a little disclaimer here at the bottom in a yellow box. Be aware, time limits for legal action are very short. Do not delay in getting help. And trust me, there wasn't anything with any of my jobs or discrimination or anything like that, but there was something with the malpractice that I faced, and too much time had passed that I wasn't able to get as much help as I wanted later down the road, because there are a lot of, and this is not disability, nothing around disabilities. This is medical malpractice, all that stuff. But a lot of the people that I've talked to around that have been like, yeah, too much time has passed, blah, blah, blah. It's no fun, but so just be aware that if you have to get into the legal side of things for discrimination or malpractice and stuff like that, time limits are really important. So, but we don't need to get into all of that today. Anyway, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I wanted to share. Yeah, I just wanted to read through that and encourage you again to go to ostomy.org. That's the UOA's website, and you can download all of this yourself. You can download it to your computer, to your phone. You can print it off. Like I said, they have a small wallet-sized version that you can print off and keep with you. So no more reading. I know it's kind of annoying. Ooh, excuse me. I know it's kind of annoying to just sit and watch someone read, but I think it's really important to talk about this stuff because not a lot of people are talking about it right now. And so I won't read anymore, but I will just say how important all of this is. I'm grateful that the UOA has this information out on their website, that they go to all the trouble to have this available to us. And I'm grateful that this information is here. I'm grateful for the people that put it together. Also, I just really think that overall, this is simply a reminder that we have to be proactive in our own healthcare. You have to advocate for yourself in every doctor's appointment, on every phone call, before, during, well, hopefully your caregivers can advocate for you during surgery if something is happening. But pre-op, post-op, all of that. If you're dealing with different GI diseases and conditions and things like this, or like me, where it was birth defects that kind of messed me up for a long time, for years, we don't get to live a lazy life in terms of healthcare. In fact, one of my best friends was recently in the hospital, and you may know her, Kimberly. I've spoken with her. We've done a lot of projects together. One of my best ostomy friends, and she is a phenomenal person, very inspirational, very helpful to those of us in this community and to just everyone she meets. But sad to say that she was recently in the hospital with a scare, and I'm not going to give her information away, but she was like out there doing she did post this on social media and everything. So I can at least say, like, she had to advocate for herself in the hospital. In her video on Instagram and Facebook, she had just this last week, and she's been working through these things and cancer and ostomy life for a long time. And still, she was in the hospital this week, and she had to keep being like, hey, no, I don't want to go home yet. Something is not right. We need to figure this out. So anyway, if this doesn't get anything else across to you, let it just help prove the point and drive that home that we need to be more proactive with our own healthcare. You got to ask all the questions. You can't feel silly about it. You've got to say, this is what I need. You've got to say, this doesn't feel right. What else can we do? What does this mean? I know that I deserve this type of care. I know that I need more education on this. Please help me. So before I ramble on too much longer and start to get super redundant and just repeating myself a million times, I'll just get going and say, appreciate you watching. Stick around and visit my channel again, I appreciate you being here. Stay tuned for the next video, but I hope that your healthcare is going well right now. If you are currently living with an ostomy or you're about to get one, I'm here to answer questions. I'll be doing another live like this soon where I'm answering your questions live. So hopefully we'll get some questions asked in that time. And then, and I'm actually going to do some really cool advocacy work this weekend. I'll be meeting with politicians trying to get the whole CMS thing figured out and telling them, hey, we got to have choice when with our ostomy products. You can't tell us what to wear. We have to be able to choose what ostomy products we put on our bodies. It is very different for every single person. So anyway, I'm out here advocating for myself. I'm trying to advocate for you guys out there, and we're just going to keep going. So thanks if you've been live this whole time, I appreciate you being here so much. And if you're just watching this after the fact, thanks for watching the video this long. I know it's a long one, but it's important stuff to talk about. I'm not sitting here doing goofy stuff. I mean, I could, it's a piano. I don't know why I just did that. I'm gonna let you go. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful night, and we'll just keep fighting for every ostomate to have the proper care that they need. Have a good night. Thanks.